did Marel and Cifix start their automation journey?
Well, as Marel, back in 2019, we really wanted to up our game in terms of reaching our midterm and long-term goals. So therefore, we organized a hackathon, invited a couple of vendors, and as a winner, Cifix came out. So ever then, Cifix is now our partner in our journey. And so far, that's really been an exciting journey.
Great. And how did it all start?
Yeah, I think that was because of the hackathon.
It started with a hackathon, which then in the end resulted in a pilot. So we took a pilot of a supply chain process, and that was very well received within Marel. People really got excited about it. So that was basically our journey, our start to take opportunities. We like to say the low-hanging fruit, because the easy ones, easy to adopt, and also easy to create some awareness within Marel, to get our stakeholders enthusiastic about it. So that's what we have been doing ever since. So for I think approximately like 2 years, we worked more or less in a project waterfall kind of way, where we finished an opportunity, then start looking for a new one, organized our funding, organizing our people, and then we moved on to take that opportunity to build another robot, which of course, like you know, Marijn, we had a lot of stop times, we had a lot of start times, basically non-added value time. So that's what we've been doing as a first baby step in our RPA journey.
I think that was for approximately 15 processes that was just a question from the business, and they were asking for IT, okay, maybe you can help us, and then IT was coming to us, and then we were writing a business case, and that just cost a lot of time, and then we had to wait for the final go, and that was actually what we did for the last couple of 15, 20 processes. And then we moved towards, maybe it's a good idea to have a fixed team. That you have just always the people there, that we just have a couple of processes on our backlog. And that is something we're moving to at the moment. We just started with a fixed team.
Yeah, and I heard earlier this morning also that with ASML and the NN Group, they had the same journey. So they started off small, they looked for people who in the business are really excited. So that was easier to adopt and to work with the teams. And then also now it's like moving towards like the center of excellence, where you have a more dedicated team, like Marijn told me. So what we've been doing up until now is that we have established this hybrid team where we have Marel resources, so that we are building the knowledge in-house as well. We're learning from Cifix, from the technology, from the information that they share with us. So we're building the center of excellence, and that really is now getting the momentum going. So Cifix knows better Marel, and Marel knows better Cifix. And that really helps us now in getting a more quicker turnaround time of getting a process from initiation to really like a robot or a digital colleague, as we call them, because we prefer not to call them robots. We said, well, we have new digital colleagues in Marel, and we give them names. So that's always a challenge and always very fun to come up with nice names for robots. But that's what we've been doing so far,
And what's the name of your robot?
Well, I'm not the owner of a robot, but I would like to have a robot for myself as my assistant. But we have the most funny names coming up. Robocox, I think I heard.
And sometimes one of the managers also asking his team, like maybe we can make some kind of poll and just putting a lot of names on it, and then people can just vote which one they like.
But what you see as it started really off to create awareness within Marel, so it really does help when you do a promotion of a robot in another domain, and you have this more cartoon style robot. Just tell them, hi, I'm Robot X, whatever, and then tells the story what the robot does. What you now see is that we are getting more and more robots in our production environment. So it's not really now more about talking names, because a lot of people don't know the names, especially on the IT side. So we are really like standardizing our processes, and also the names of the robots are matching the processes, having these unique identifiers matched. So that also
makes it maybe easier for your colleagues and employees, then they recognize, okay, this is, for example, this process, and everyone immediately knows, oh, that is within sales or something. That makes it really easy. Yeah.
Great. And where are you now in your digital workforce journey?
Marel is, I would say, still taking small steps. So what you see on the maturity scale of robotics or hyper-automation, that's something that I also saw today. I think we are still far from our end goal, but that's no problem because we are moving. So if you look at what we have done up until now, it's basically script automation. So we took these Excel macro-based applications, as we call them, and we have a lot of them within our company. We took them, we automated them, and then we enriched them with more capabilities because we're using robots and no longer Visual Basic. So that's I think one of the big steps we took. I still see that we have still quite some opportunities on that level. But we're also now looking at the next step in our automation journey, and that is looking at AI integration. Maybe you can share a little bit more because we have done 2 of them already now.
Yeah, if I hear you saying that, I think right now it's not really a matter of if we have enough processes, because there are many cases, that's not the problem, but it's really about how can we make people aware that they can really use it and that the technology is there, because that translation to really integrate it into the current processes, that's really difficult. So I think that's the stage where we are right now. And sometimes we have, for example, an intake for RPA, and then people are asking us a lot of things. For example, oh, I get an invoice. How can I make sure that I get the right information from that invoice, because I need to use that information and I have to put it into a system. And that's more the phase that we are right now in. And then we have to think, okay, maybe this is not really something for RPA, but what other technologies do we have? And then you see that people are also, I think, making steps in making progression, because they also notice maybe there are many other things we can do besides the RPA.
Yeah.
And I think that is exactly what we actually want in the end is that the business comes to us with their use cases. And that it's then up to us, being in IT or in the Center of Excellence of Hyper Automation Center of Excellence, to determine this is going to be the best solution. So we're going to build you an app, or we're going to give you something on the low-code platform, or maybe RPA added to like ML or AI is going to be the best fit for you. So we really want the business to come to us instead of we're exploring opportunities within the business, which is also a good thing because we have an RPA network that we're building. So we have people with their eyes and ears in the business and in our regions that will come to us saying that we think here is an opportunity. Sometimes opportunities start even really small, like locally or in a region. And because of the complexity of Marel, we acquire 2 times a year another company. So we have a lot of legacy systems, as we call them today, which means a lot of opportunities for RPA. But still, RPA is going to be like I think it's there to stay for many years within Marel, and we're not there yet on our dot on the horizon.
And what are the goals for the near future?
Yeah, like I said already, I think the goals is still to grow and extend the knowledge within Marel when it comes to RPA. I think I heard earlier today, and I really like that, is to save 1 million hours by 2025. So I'll put that in mind. I'll take it back home and see if that is still something that we as Marel can also achieve. So you and I need to talk about that, which is interesting.
We really need those insights.
We need those insights. But yeah, I think what we really want to say is that RPA in the near future is going to be something, it's going to be there to stay. It's going to move away from being like just a project to something that is more like in our toolbox that we can still use. Like I said, Hyper Automation Center, I think that is exactly what we want to achieve. Our CIO is already really keen about that. So I heard a lot of things today that we definitely can use. Also, what is a UiPath going to do about that in the near future? Interesting to explore.
Yeah, and I also think before we more started as a RPA team, but at the moment it doesn't really feel like that, more like automation team. We just discover a lot of processes and then we just involve a lot of people from Marel, for example, an application specialist, and then we're just kind of comparing all the solutions and which one is the best. And that's not always RPA. Sometimes it's also another.
Yeah.
It can be OutSystems, or
Yeah.
it can be like a user interface in front of what the robot does. So robot really working on the back end. So that's really like automation team is better. Yeah.
Then we're really looking for the best solution.
Yeah. And what are some of the challenges that you've come across so far?
Well, we have a lot of challenges. The challenges is still in the beginning. The challenges were definitely around budget.
Yeah.
I think that we solved. So we got the right stakeholders now involved, and also like promoting RPA for us. So that's good. So budget is no longer the biggest challenge. I think the biggest challenge today is find the most added value opportunities for RPA.
Yeah.
We had a chat earlier this afternoon about it, because every now and then we do take opportunities on board saying, okay, we believe you because we believe that this is the best opportunity. It's not really like fact-based. So one of the things we talked about is like process mining might be something that is really something that we will do. Other challenges, of course, is getting the right resources from the business, from IT, working on it. So the dedicated team, the hybrid team that we now have together with Civix is really upping our game on that level. So I think that's really, we kind of challenged that challenge. And still within Marel, with all the other initiatives and the big programs that we're doing and the ambition that we have, it's always going to be a challenge to get the right resources. But as long as you get people aware of RPA and the advantages of RPA, so that RPA is not a robot that will take away your job, but a robot that's going to be like your digital colleague helping you so that you can do more added value things instead of the repetitive things. As long as you promote that message, then I think we have a lot of challenges still left.
Yeah, and sometimes that just takes a lot of time.
Yeah.
And you just need to be patient because,
Yeah. Great.
Yeah.
Well, thank you for your time.
Thank you too.
And we hope you enjoy the rest of the event.
We will. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Right, bye.